I just want to thank you for coming today. We have to celebrate our 50th anniversary. I know I don't look a day over 50, but it's friends like you that have encouraged us through the years to build a business. And it's friends like you that have stood by us through bad and good times, and it's almost impossible to name all the people that have been a part of our lives and helping us build this business, and I'll never attempt to try to do that today. Let's see. They say when one door opens and one closes behind you, you know you're in jail. We got into this business, and it was into
selling slush machines.
Slush machines was the way we started out. My brother, who owned a couple grocery stores down in the western part of the state, came and said, after I had sold the newspapers, and asked me what I was going to do, and I said, I don't know. He said, why don't you come with me and let's look into this slush machine business. It's getting real popular. And so I said, okay. So we figured out we could buy a bunch of used ones, and I was sort of mechanical minded. I could fix them up and make them look like new ones. And we began selling those, and it worked real well. And so we wanted a franchise for the machine itself for North Carolina. And so I flew up to Kiel, Wisconsin, and talked to the people that made the machine, and they awarded us the franchise for the state of North Carolina for it. We kept at it and kept increasing the number of different types of equipment we began selling. We began selling ice machines. We had the ice machine contract for the state of North Carolina for about 10 years. And we began furnishing complete restaurants. My friend Harold Leary walked in the office one day and said he had been working with the state of North Carolina in jail inspection, and that he had started a little business of furnishing stuff to jails. And he was working mainly out of his trunk of his car and down in Greenville, North Carolina. And he wanted to buy restaurant equipment from us to sell to jails. So we said, sure.
For kitchens in the jails.
Yeah, kitchen equipment primarily. But he also did some clothing and mattresses and things like this. And so he did this for about 18 months. And one day he walked into our business and said that he was getting out of the business. He couldn't afford to run it any longer, and would we buy the inventory he had? So I got to thinking about it, and I said, well, it should be a good business. So Pat and I started talking about it, and so he was going to go to work for a sheriff's department. So I talked him into coming to work for us. So he and I started traveling up and down the coast, East Coast, just talking to jailers, finding out what the jails really need. And as we found the different products that they needed, I'd go out and find somebody that would manufacture for it or somebody like that. And then Pat had come to work with us just a few years before that. She had worked 13 years at Almay, and she was overlooked as far as, at that time, you didn't have a female over the chemistry in a department or the lab or anything like that. It's always a male or something. So they overlooked her a number of times. She got dissatisfied with it and wanted to do something else. And she wanted to come to work with me. And I said, I need a chemist like a hole in my head. That's been, anyway, it turned out to be a really good move because she sort of held strings back on me from expanding too fast. And
Yeah, a lady that worked for us for a number of years said that I was like the controller, that I was holding on to a string and pulling Bob back.
but it was, while she worked at Almay, she had a good paying job. It was really good pay for a woman at that time. And she kept us in business with her paycheck, really.
Yeah, Bob, I got paid once a month. That's when the professionals got paid, was the last work day of the month. And Bob knew when my paycheck was coming. So he would go and in the business and write all kind of checks and come pick up my paycheck and put it in the bank to cover the checks he had written. So my paycheck kind of helped finance the business at the beginning.
Yeah.
I sent out the first mailer, and it was just a one-pager, and it said things like mattress, this size, so much, and this, and there was a great response. And so Bob said, I owned a newspaper and I know how to do layout. So he did a 2-page, right? With some
we
pictures.
did a 8-page.
8-page, okay. With some
Tabloid
art.
size,
Art.
like a half newspaper, you know. We did the 8-page, and it did real well. We sent it, I think we sent it to North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia maybe. And it did real well. So we sent the next time we sent an 16-page, it was just doubling. It did better. And we did a 32-page set, and then a 64-page set.
I think it was the 16-page. Bob wanted to mail the whole country. And I said, oh, wait. Let's just do the Southeast. Make sure we can keep the phones answered.
Yeah. I wanted to lay out a real professional looking catalog, but we came up with I think maybe a couple hundred pages catalog. And it was, I thought it was mostly black and white. I think the front cover of it had some color in it. But it went out and our phone rang off. We couldn't answer all the phone calls. And so I said, boy, we got something here. But anyway, that catalog really sold the company. And even today, you can occasionally see that catalog in a jailer's office or a prison or something.
I'd like to tell you another little story. There was a nuclear engineer or a nuclear physicist who was traveling around the country giving a speech about nuclear physics. And he hired a chauffeur to chauffeur him around the country, and the chauffeur always sit in the back of the auditorium and he would listen to the professor's speech every day, you know. So they were riding down the road one day, and the chauffeur says, you know, I could make that speech. The professor said, I bet you couldn't. He said, I bet you $100 I can. He says, all right, next time we come to it, says, I'll be the chauffeur and you can be the professor. You can give a speech. So the next time they got to, the Chauffeur got up and he gave a tremendous speech. I mean, he did magnificent, just as well as Professor. He got through and the guy on the front row stood up and says, Professor, says, if you take plutonium-234 and mix it with uranium-238, what kind of reaction do you get to? And the chauffeur thought for a minute and, said, that's a very simple question. It's so simple, I'm going to let my chauffeur in the back of the room.
It's sort of interesting as how we expanded the company, and we had, I had bought an old building in downtown Apex and paid $15,000 for it, and the lady that owned it financed it for me at a 5% interest. I paid $111.13 a month on it for 15 years and got it paid for. But anyway, we started, that's when we had the newspaper. And then we started our other business, and it was in the same building. And then we pretty soon outgrew that, and we were able to get an old furniture store down the street next to the town hall. And we moved into it, and pretty soon outgrew it. And then there was a warehouse, fertilizer warehouse right beside it. We rented it, and then we rented the hardware store on the other side of us there. And then the Chevrolet place was the next place. It was where they had a big showroom and everything. And it came on the market, and we were able to buy that. And so we had 4 buildings there, where the town hall is now, the old one, all the way down to the end. And soon outgrew them, and that's when we started looking for how we gonna expand it, and we was gonna build another building. But I saw this building, the old Jones Street building where we had a warehouse, and it was up for sale. And a realtor was handling it out of Charlotte, so I called him up and asked him if I could see it. And they said, sure, so we'll let you know when we're up there. So I never did hear from them. And finally, I called them back, and they finally sent somebody up and showed me the warehouse. And the warehouse has no windows whatsoever. And the guy took me into the warehouse and with a little flashlight, and I couldn't see nothing. And it was so vast. And he told me how much he wanted for it, and I said, that's it. And I forgot about it. And about a month later, the president of the company called me up. He called me up and said, let me show you that building. He said, let me show you that building. I said, well, I'd like to see it first with lights on it. So he had the lights turned on, and we went in and saw it, and it was so vast, 140,000 square feet. I said, we'll never fill that up, never. So I went to every bank in Fuquay. Nobody would loan me the money to buy the building. Nobody. And you do what? You sell what to who? I didn't know anything about jail business or prison business or anything like that. And we were only doing $2 million at that time. So I called the guy back and I said, I'll give you $100,000 down. If you'll finance the building for 1 year, I'll find somebody to finance it for. He said, all right, I'll do that. So it was a risk, but
I
he
can't
took
remember where we got the 100,000.
I can't either.
But we did.
They said, yeah, so we financed it. First year we doubled sales, went for like $4 million. And then I went back to Raleigh Savings and Loan, and that was who we was banking with, and they saw our deposits and how it was increasing, you know. So they said, we'll finance the point. 2 years later, we had to buy the big 130,000 square feet warehouse up on Wade Chapel. We had begun making our metal operation there, and our sewing operation, and we'd already outgrew it, so we moved our metal operation up there, and then continued to grow it until finally in '97. At that time, Nancy had come to work for us, and she is actually the one that handled this building construction of it. Mattresses were sort of my forte. I got interested in it. And the way I did, or why I did, because we found a mattress manufacturer. We were looking for somebody to make jail mattresses for. We found one down in Salisbury. At that time, the standard mattress for a jail was boric acid treated cotton to keep it from burning, and a cotton ticking over the top of it. And if you know a cotton ticking, somebody sleeping on a cotton ticking, sweat, urine, it smells to high heaven within a very short time. I had looked, and he kept saying, I said, we need to make our own mattress. So this salesperson that was furnishing us the densified polyester said, well, maybe I can help you. So he came down and we started designing a way. The biggest problem we had was getting the core into the mattress. And so we came up and built a table with two long arms on it sticking out, and where you could sew up three sides of the mattress or two sides in the end, with leaving one open and pull it together and then sew it the end of it. So we started making our own mattress, but we went a step further. We did a double needle sewing. They were only putting one needle around it, so it made it very much stronger. And then we actually added glue along the seams so that they couldn't get into the mattress at all like that. And so we kept improving that mattress all along. It was and one of the biggest problems we had was when we'd sew the cover and turn it, that PVC fabric just tore the girls' hands all the time. It was just a terrible job. And I went to a show in Atlanta one time, and they had an outfit there with this machine, and they made denim jeans. And they'd sew the jeans up wrong side outwards, and then they'd take it over the machine and they'd suck it back in and change. And I said, hey, that's what we need to do a mattress. So I asked the guy about it, and he said, no, I've never ever done something like that. I said, I don't see why it wouldn't work. So he designed one, brought it up here, it didn't work. He took it back, worked on it, brought it back, didn't work. Brought it back, and we began working on it. Finally, we got it completed, and it worked perfectly. And it's still today. We got two of them now in here. But that's one of the biggest things that we did, because we've got, 20 some different types of mattresses. There's nobody else in the industry that's got anything like that. And we've got the most in stock, which helps us tremendously. Most of the mattresses we ship today, you can order a mattress today and then ship tomorrow. Very few people can say that. One of the other secrets that I think our company is because we emphasize ship immediately.
Yeah.
And so many, we had competitors who would pick up bids, and where they'd beat us on a bid or something, and they'd take 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to ship a mattress out, and that helped us so much where we could ship it the day that they ordered it.
So Robert and I started working here in elementary school, and we started after school. We would walk from school to the office, and our jobs were to sweep the floors and alphabetically put away the catalogs and empty the trash, wash the windows, things like that. And looking back on it now, it seems like it was probably cheaper than daycare, and so that was a good option for Robert and I. And but we made money doing that, and so we earned $10 a week, which was huge. We could go, or actually I would go every day to the drugstore on the corner, and I would buy an orangeade and comic books and things like that, and Robert saved all of his money. And he saved all of his money and was able to buy a car when he was 16, and I spent all $10 every single week.
Let me tell you about Nancy. She graduated from UNC Wilmington. Nancy was a little flower girl type of drama and dance at high school, So she went to college and she started majoring in business. I said, my gosh. And she did so well that when she graduated, her counselor says, Nancy, you need to go and get a master's in business. And he encouraged her to do so. So she said, well, I get a job. She didn't want to come to work for us, and we didn't want her to come to work for us at that time. We wanted to go out and start with somebody else and get some experience first. But she looked around and looked around and looked around and couldn't find anything that really suited her. So finally I said, well, why don't you come to work with us? So we put her in sales first. And then we put her in accounting. She worked in accounting for a while. And we put her into this warehouse, and she started running the warehouse.
Yeah,
and
she was in charge of the warehouse.
And she was in charge of the warehouse, and that's when she built this warehouse, or handled the building project by itself. And so after she was with us for a couple of years, and this is when Pat also decided to go back and get a master's. She decided to go and get a master's at Duke at the same time. So she took 2 years off and went and got a master's along with Pat.
I remember growing up, we weren't growing up, we didn't have a lot of material things growing up, but I do remember us going out to eat a lot as a family. And it was much later in life that I figured out that all these restaurants owed my dad money for things that they had bought from us and hadn't paid for. So the way that they would work off their accounts receivable with us is us dining out at their restaurant establishment and working down their receivables that way.
He came to work with us for a little while, and he helped us in the IT department. And he ran the IT department for a year or two. And then when the .com system hit, he decided he wanted to go to California and open a .com in 1999. That's when the market went like that with all the .coms, and they just threw him out. Anyway, he finally came back to the company, and we had a bunch of people to call on us wanting to buy the company. We were considering it, and I wasn't really sure that I wanted to do it because I wanted the kids to take it on. And so finally, our CPA told Robert Nancy, says, you ought to buy the company from your parents. So we set it up where they could buy the company. And they went out on a limb and borrowed a lot of money and paid us for it. And we kept like 3% of the company. Then Nancy was president first, and then she went home to raise her kids for a few years, and then she asked Robert to take over as president, and so he did, and then later Nancy came back. That's the rest of the story. I think one of the most important things in life, really, is finding your passion in whatever you do. If you get into something that you like, what you can do, you'll be more involved in it and do a better job at it and enjoy it more. I like for a place to work to be a fun place. You need to look forward to coming to work every day. Don't make it a dread thing that you, oh man, I gotta go to work today. Look forward to it. So I'm gonna see my friends. I got this project going on. And just keep enthusiasm going. And you'll always be doing well.
The foundation does a great job of helping organizations that are trying to help the prisoners who are getting out and going back to society. Something like 70% of people who get out of prison go back within 3 years. But there are organizations who work with prisoners as they come out to improve and stay out of jail.
The company has done well, and we felt like that we needed to give back. You get more blessings giving back than you do taking. Our people in our company here are so proud of what we're doing that they want to be a part of it.
Every box we pack, every mattress we stuff, every kit that we put together is one step closer to really positively impacting and changing another person's life.
The harder that they work, the more that we are able to fund the foundation, and the bigger our impact can be.
In my interviews for the job of executive director of the foundation, I asked the Barkers, why would they do this? That if we did everything exactly right in the foundation and grew, we could negatively affect their bottom line.
The same answer I always give that question is, it would be a glorious day if I put myself out of business, because we're so effective at helping people to successfully return to the community, to never go back to prison.
I'd love for it to put us out of business, really. We started out in the back of a barber shop with myself and my brother working in a little 15 by 20 room. And we've grown to be the largest distributor of correctional products in the world, really. The success of almost any company is you find a need and you fill it. And that's what we did in the jail business when we started. If you want to get something done, and no matter what it is, if you got passion about it, you'll figure out a way to do it. And I have been passionate about this business ever since I started. I look forward to come to work every day, and I want people to know what Bob Barker stands for.
Okay.
Oh, did we miss it? Our flight was delayed from Hawaii.
Holy mackerel!
Okay.